All right, Mark, I think you're good to go.
All right, thanks. I'm checking to see if we have enough for a quorum, and we just need 7 of us. But if that's you, Peter, I, so that's 2, then Nick, 3, I saw you in there, Sarah, 4. Anybody else on our list here?
I think we counted 7 before when we were doing our initial.
Okay. And that's us free to go. All right. May I start us off by reading Steiner? So here, team. The Motto of the Social Ethic by Rudolf Steiner. The healing of the social life is found when in the mirror of each human soul, the whole community finds its reflection, and when in the community, the virtue of each one is living. All right, we'll start this out by an approval of the agenda. Does everybody have the PDF that was sent out earlier concerning our special session today? Do I
move to approve the agenda as presented? This is Jessie.
I'll second. Sarah.
Mark had a little technical difficulty again. He's coming back here.
Oh, great. Did we get a second on that? I'm sorry, Julie. I did lose touch there for a second.
Yes.
Sarah.
All right.
Sarah seconded. I took a note down on it.
And just so it's on our team's radar here, also, I've got one from Bruni and also a letter here from one of the second grade parents from Miss Melissa. So if anybody would like to start us out with the with tonight just hearing, we would like to have an opportunity to hear everybody speak. I need to read that part of our agenda as well.
So Mark, can you hear me?
Community comments, 3 minutes. Oh yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so just a point here. So Jesse, approval of agenda. Jesse made a motion, Sarah Glasser seconded, and then we just make sure that everybody, twinkles.
Here's the community comments, 3 minutes each. Please note, this is the public's time to talk and the board's time to listen. Winterberry Charter Council does not hear complaints against students or personnel in public session. It is not the board's practice to engage in discussion or to answer questions during community comments. Commenters' names will be recorded in the minutes. Thank you. And we now open the floor up to hear community comments. Kira, I see your hand raised there. Would you like to start us out?
Sure thing. I'm going to start my timer. My name's Kira Rayfuse. I am a parent of a 6th grader and a 1st grader at Winterberry. I want to thank you all for all that you do for the WCC in our school. Wonderful. A few comments here. I see ASD has required indoor masking, which seems like a great idea to me, and I'm happy to hear that. I'm curious what the policy will be for outdoor masking. I'm hoping that there will not be any outdoor masking. There is clear science showing that outdoor masking is not necessary for preventing the spread of COVID-19. So if there is a requirement for outdoor masking, I would like to see the scientific backup for that decision. And then moving on to thinking about lunchtime, I do not think it's a sustainable practice to have our children eating outside all year long. My oldest daughter in March, when it was cold, said she had a hard time finishing her lunch during that time of year. And I know it was a late spring, but as I will just reiterate, I do not believe it's sustainable to have our children eating outside the whole year. We live in Alaska and it's cold. So some solutions could be umbrella heaters outside, perhaps. Another solution could be indoors, every other child eating and the children in between wearing masks. Now, I don't know the science on that, if that's something that would be acceptable, but I'm just throwing those ideas out as possible solutions. Other ideas and thoughts, I would just like to know if we as parents will be walking our children into the school this year, or if I'm just looking forward to hearing those details as to how parents will be invited in and out of the school. Will we be available to go on nature walks, etc.? And then also I'm looking forward to hearing what the regulations will be with COVID exposure. For example, if a parent of a child had exposure at their work, would the child still come into school? At what level does the child need to stay home? Is it just a tiny runny nose? Yeah, I want our children to be safe, but I think there's so many details that we need to hear about so that we can have this safe place to be with, have our kids. And lastly, with my last 10 seconds, I'll just say that if we had to do a split model like last year, that would not be sustainable for our family, and we cannot take another year of a split cohort. Thank you for listening to my concerns and thoughts.
Thank you, Kira. Appreciate your questions and statements there. We're going to continue to listen through the crowd there, and the board and I'll certainly discuss it.
Would someone be willing on the WCC to be a timekeeper? Sarah Glasser. Okay, that'd be great. Thank you.
Do you want me to chime in when we're at time, or do you just want me to hold up like a?
That works. Yeah.
I'll do that.
Yeah,
Awesome.
although we're on 2 screens so far, so people may not see you. So just maybe, do you have a little bell or something? You could just ding it, and that would be.
Yeah, I can ding it. 3 minutes.
Yes.
All right.
Since we do have a lot of audio people, I probably won't be able to see them. Obviously, raise their hands in order for them to speak. Possibly a solution is to type into the chat box, or possibly I'm comfortable with them just going ahead when there's a moment that's open and ready for people to speak and others to listen. Meg, oh, sorry. Sue, oh, Shannon, would you like to speak?
Yes, thank you. Thank you guys for,
Thank you.
thank you for allowing us to speak. I am Shannon, and I'm speaking on behalf of the Effenbeck family. We've been at Winterberry for the last 5 years. We have an upcoming 2nd and 6th grader. I would like to request that Winterberry Charter Council do all that they can to keep our children as safe as possible over the next few months as we eagerly await vaccines for our younger students. The current projections for our state do not look good over the next few weeks. So they look really, really bad in particular. And with the new increased virulence of the Delta variant, I think Winterberry needs to be diligent and creative in our ways to minimize risk to our students. Our school is fairly well known among local physicians in town for our impressive mitigation strategies last year. Let's see, sorry, lost my place. Increasing outdoor time, outdoor lunches, reduced class size with the cohort model were all fairly novel approaches that were very successful in keeping our students safe. I know that they weren't always convenient, and I know that for some of us, they were really, really, really hard, but they did keep our students safe. I'm so thankful for the faculty and the staff that made those strategies work for our students. I'm here to ask that we once again look for creative solutions that minimize our students' risks. Specifically, what we would kind of like to see is increased outdoor time whenever possible. The more we keep our students outdoors, the safer they will be. Meals and snacks being held outdoors. We know that taking off our masks really exposes us, and the new variant is so much more virulent. Windows open in the classroom to increase ventilation, flexibility in classroom attendance until vaccines are available to all students so that those that don't feel safe don't lose their spots in the classroom. Support for students being kept home due to exposure. You know, over the next couple of weeks, we're going to have a lot of exposures. I think they are currently predicting over 1,000 cases a day towards the end of August. That's going to be huge. And students that are being kept home need support. Support for parents that are keeping their students home so that students can integrate once they are vaccinated. For those that don't feel safe to come in the classroom, having that support from faculty and teachers, that's the only way it's going to work for those of us that are in that situation. Potentially air purifiers in the classrooms. These are things that I think could really mitigate the risk. We're known for our creativity, even in COVID mitigation. We are known for this. Let's continue working with each other to create strategies that allow our students to participate in school safely. We so appreciate our school and our community, and thank you all for all that you do.
Time. Perfect.
Awesome. Thank you, Shannon. Oh, Genevieve, I see a hand up right there. Would you like to speak? For the Solstice family?
Yeah, thank you. Actually, Josh with Solstice. It's my wife.
Hi,
Fair enough. Hello, I'm Josh with Solstice. My wife Genevieve. We have 2 daughters, Jazz and Leva, starting 4th grade this year. I have to second Ms. Uffenbeck's request and also her praise for the school. We are very, very grateful that for our children that have been in any school during the last 1.5 years, it was Winterberry. And we appreciate that the school has taken measures to oftentimes exceed the ASD school district safety guidelines. And I have to share my personal feelings is that I believe that over the last 1.5 years or so, since the outbreak occurred and became a global pandemic, we've seen some of the worst surges, I believe. Once we relaxed our guidelines, we started seeing the trends go down. We relaxed social distancing and mask guidelines, and the numbers spike again. It happens time and time again. I feel like we've been premature in relaxing our guidelines time and time again, and we're still paying for it. I agree. I think we need to maintain whatever measures we can to keep our children as safe as possible. Things are very hard for a lot of us, some of us more than others. I personally don't want, however, my 9-year-old daughters to start off 4th grade as developing a heart condition that'll last them the rest of their life. I'm sure many others feel the same way. And for this, I'm willing to endure the difficulties that taking these safety precautions requires. Thank you for your time.
I'm in a meeting. Thank you, Josh.
So there.
Pardon me. Thank you, Josh. I appreciate the statements there. I see a lot of names in the chat box, but or in the population here, but not everybody's able to raise their hand because they only have audio. Is there a way that we can help everybody be heard and have a moment to say what they'd like to say?
Mark, do you want someone to just start calling names of people that are here that are non-WCC members and see if they would like to speak?
Yeah, that's a great solution. And just assume that those who are in this forum would like to have something to say. Does that sound like a plan? All right, we'll start at the top of the list there. And Patrick Cummins, are you interested in seeing and making some comments tonight? Possibly Kiwi Alexander?
Sure.
Awesome. Thank you, Kiwi.
I feel, well, this is Mary Alexander. I'm Kiwi's mom.
Hi.
He's a upcoming second grader, and I feel most of my concerns been addressed by the other parents already, but I want to echo what they've said and thank you all for keeping our students safe and really providing for them for the last year. We're very grateful to be a part of this community, and I'm just grateful to hear other parent voices that are on the same page as well. I just really appreciate you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. Darlene, have we heard from you tonight? Would you like to take a moment to voice some concerns? Oh, and then after that, I'll reach out to Kate Martin and Tapia Stover.
Hi, I'm Darlene Boskovsky. I'm the grandmother of a new student at Winterberry this year. We're very excited about that, Sunrise, and I'm just here to listen.
Thank you for joining us tonight, Darlene.
Thank you.
Kate Martin, would you be willing to share something today?
Hi, everyone. Thank you for letting me speak for a little bit here. And again, thanks to everyone for all the thoughtful work that you put into coming up with the safe methods for keeping our kids in school and keeping them safe. So I just wanted to say that I really liked some of the things that Kira had to say. I think that I absolutely agree with masking indoors. I think the science supports that. But I also really hope that we can balance some of these really important COVID measures with protecting the kids' rhythm and having them in person in school with other kids. I think there are creative ways to do that. And I think we're on the path there, and indoor masking is really important to keep that going. But I do really feel strongly that it helps our kids to be there in person, the normal school schedule that we're all used to. So that's all I have to say. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Kate. Tapia Stover, would you like to speak?
Hi, can you hear me okay?
Gotcha.
Hi, so this might actually not be a very popular opinion, but I'm going to voice it anyways. I do have some concerns about not masking outdoors. I think when we take a look at the science on that, both I've been reviewing some information from the CDC and WHO and the Mayo Clinic, and a lot of that promotes being okay being outdoors without masks, so long as people maintain 6-foot distancing. I mean, as the mom of an almost 7-year-old and a 4.5-year-old, I find that it's really difficult to convince small children that they need to be 6 feet apart, or even to get them to conceptualize what 6 feet apart is. So I have some concerns about children out on the playground playing in really close proximity to each other without masks until we get some of these younger children vaccinated. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Tapia. Shannon Offenbeck, would you like to speak today? Oh, hi, Shannon. You already spoke. Thank you for your words earlier. Corey Whitmore, would you like to say something today?
Hi, I'm the mom of an incoming new first grader, and I'm here partly, I just like to get to know the community a little bit. But I'm also here because I'm really interested in COVID mitigation and what we can do to keep kids in school. Like so many other people I'm hearing from, I think indoor masks are really important. And I think we're willing to take on a certain amount of inconvenience and jump through a certain amount of hoops to really go above and beyond in order to keep the kids in the classroom together. I know over the last 18 months, they've really missed a lot of that social interaction. And I'm really looking forward to them getting to do that again this year.
Thank you for your words, Corey. Megan Judge. Megan, would you like to say anything today?
I'm not in a place to speak right now, but thank you everyone for being here tonight, and I am listening.
Thanks for being here, Megan. Kelly Defer, would you like to speak tonight?
Hi, I hadn't prepared anything and I'm mainly here to listen. However, I've heard a lot of ideas from Shannon Uffenbeck and Josh Schultes and Mary Alexander that I totally agree with. I just feel like Winterberry was able to really be creative last year in ways that we were able to prevent COVID. As a charter school, we are operating within the district's guidelines, but we have the unique ability to sort of roll out additional precautions as needed from by looking at the parent and family population and our unique needs. And I would just like to continue to have the option to be at home where we feel safest in light of the Delta variant and the very steeply rising trend in community transmission. And I would still like to keep my connection to my grade, our children's grades, which we've, been on the waiting list for and feel so lucky to be part of. So I think other people have spoken more eloquently than I am able to do tonight, but I just want to thank Shannon Uffenbeck again and Josh Schultes and others for just sort of sharing ways that we can keep our children physically safe and as a charter school. Thanks.
Thank you for your time this evening, Kelly. Thank you. Liz Osorio, would you be interested in saying something tonight?
Yeah, my name is Liz Osorio and I have an incoming third grader. I am probably going to have the unpopular opinion, but I guess it's at least worth, notating. Because my question to the to WCC is what are options for parents that have kids that either we don't want to send them to school with masks, so can we do the online version, or will there be any sort of exemptions allowed? I would also agree that the outdoor lunches I don't think are sustainable. I know someone had mentioned that their daughter had issues eating the full meal outside. My son also experienced that. He liked the little hay bales, but I think especially as we come into winter, we the school need to figure out a way to keep the kids, hand washed and separated, whatever needs to happen, but that to be indoors. And then I would also agree on the no splitting of the cohort. I know as a full-time working parent, the half a week being home, half week being in school was difficult. I was thankful that I was able to work partially from home for part of it, but I think even more so on the kids aspect, the in-person interaction is so important, being able to, be with their classmates and see their teacher and that social emotional aspect of it. So I thank you guys for everything that you're doing. I know it's hard. There's so many different opinions and beliefs, and everyone's, I think, we just have different, so much information and information overload. So I appreciate you guys taking our children's best interest at heart and really, doing what you can to keep everyone safe and healthy. And, I look forward to a good school year. So thank you for your time.
Thank you for your comments, Liz. And thank you for lending us your time this evening. Julie Calcote, would you like to speak today? Southfed, are you interested in speaking?
Thanks. I just wanted to say that I'm new, the kindergartner coming in, and mainly here to listen, but also just wanted to express some opinion on having some flexibility in when we send our kids, if cases are high, maybe do a homeschool without losing our seats and have to reapply next year for first grade. So I'm a strong advocate of masking indoors and outdoors and doing everything we can to keep our children safe, as well as having the option to keep them home when we feel that the cases are too high and it's safer for them to be with us. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Heidi Jaum, would you like to speak today?
Hi, thanks. I am a parent and wife. We have two forms of Winterberry folks. I have a first grader who's in kindergarten last year, and then also in the form of a teacher, Thomas Jensen. He's the fourth grade teacher this year. So we are involved in the school in a couple ways. I didn't prepare anything really to say tonight. I was here mostly to listen, but I do really appreciate this platform for parents to be able to voice concerns, and thank you for hearing everybody. I think that's a really great thing that the school offers. We are a high-risk family, and I was really impressed last year with just the creativity that went into the mitigation plans as we sent our teacher in, our dad. And so that's, I think, creativity with a huge focus on safety is something we all need, and I just am thankful for that. I just want to really say thank you to Shannon, Uffenbeck, and so many others. Just really what you say resonates with how I feel. Again, I'm a strong advocate of masking indoor and outdoor, just because of the way children play. And so thank you all for eloquently preparing those things to say. And yeah, and thanks for hearing us all. I guess the biggest thing that I, as a parent of a high-risk child, one thing that I would really like to get a sense of, or just put out there, is some way to support our kids at home and stay connected to the classroom, and just know what that might look like, because we love our class and we want to stay with this class. But given what's going on in the community, I don't know that we can start in person. So that's what I'm looking forward to hearing more about. Thank you.
Thank you, Heidi. Patrick, I see your hand raised. Would you like to speak?
Yes, thank you for the opportunity. I'll apologize in advance if my 4-month-old decides to tell me to stop talking. But I would like to second my concerns as well. We, both my wife and I, we both work in essential, and we have not been able to isolate at all during this pandemic. And with that, we've learned that our daughter, who will be a kindergartner this year, has been in programs without masks, and we have not had any issues, especially the outdoor program she's been in this summer. No issues whatsoever, except for Mama Bear trying to take 2 kids' lunches. With that, we are comfortable with masks indoors, but we do feel outdoor masking isn't that essential, especially younger kids. I feel it's going to be very difficult to encourage the younger kids to mask. And I feel it's just there, and especially part of the Waldorf principle of the social behavior of the children being able to interact. And I think facial recognition and body language are essential part of that for a child. I think there's other ways we can protect the higher risk individuals with hybrid programs and online meetings. I just want to do the best we can to protect our children, but also do it with some reasonability. Thank you.
Thank you for speaking tonight, Patrick. R. Bernard, would you be interested in speaking tonight?
Sure. Thank you. My name is Becca Bernard, and I'm a parent of a rising 6th grader and a graduate who is no longer at Winterberry. And I hadn't prepared to speak. I was mostly planning to just come and listen, but this discussion has been really, really helpful, and I just thank everybody who has weighed in so far. I guess, you know, I'm very glad that the district is you know, has adopted a policy of universal masking indoors. And I was really intrigued by the information somebody shared about outdoor transmissibility. I don't have a firm opinion right now about outdoor masking, but I definitely hope that, you know, that somebody will research that more and figure out if the kids can be without masks outdoors safely. I think the context is really important with rising cases and the Delta variant being so much more transmissible. And apparently, from what the science is showing so far, being somewhat more dangerous for kids. So I feel like there's this level of both higher risk and greater unknown with this new variant as to how it affects children. And because of that, I tend to lean towards being safer rather than not. So I would support outdoor masking. My 6th grader has been masking outdoors for running program this summer and doesn't seem to have any trouble with it. I know it's harder for some kids than others. As far as lunch, I really appreciate the concern Kira raised, but I would actually favor some kind of outdoor solution for eating, just because of the danger in taking off the mask. So I love the idea of some kind of warming umbrellas, if that's something that's doable. And then the two other quick concerns I have are, I'm not sure whether our classrooms are large enough to accommodate the distancing that's required to keep the kids safe. So I don't know the answer to that, but that's certainly something I'm wondering about and concerned about. And then what our quarantine protocols are going to be when kids have potential exposures, and how that's going to be handled with kids having to be out of school for a while. I don't have any answers or suggestions, just interested to hear what you all come up with. Thank you for all that you are all doing, and thanks for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you, Rebecca. Corey, would you be interested in saying something today? Corey, I already chatted with you. Pardon me for getting through the list here. Thanks, Corey. I'm a face person. Christian Gray, would you be interested in speaking today?
Hi, I'm a parent of a second grader. I'm just here mostly to listen. I agree with all the people that are advocating masking and additional health protocols. Thank you for being great. Thank you.
Appreciate your time. Thank you, Christian. Kalissa, would you be interested in speaking today?
Hi, everyone. I also was here to listen tonight, but wanted to just chime in and say thank you to WCC for all your work and continuing this process and policy. And I know how draining it can be, not only Zoom fatigue, but I think many of us now are definitely in pandemic fatigue. So I appreciate all your work. And I think I would just echo really appreciative that we are going back to school. Definitely can't repeat last year the way that we did. And I know it was for everyone. And we wouldn't be able to do the cohort model either. We made it through this spring, but definitely wouldn't be able to continue in our jobs that way. And I'm I guess on board for masking indoors, and I would be fine with not masking outdoors. With, I guess what I've seen is very low transmission in outdoor settings. And I think, it's interesting when we as parents, we do a lot of research and develop our opinions or beliefs, but, in talking to the kids and just hearing from them, it's just really cool to hear them say, like, we just want to be back in school. We don't care if we have to mask or not. And so I think just remembering that, like, the kids, so much of our energy is perceived by them. But if we just honor like what they really want to do, and they just want to see their friends, and so they're fine. They're fine with the mask. So I think that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Kalissa. Brian Stone, would you be interested today to say a few words?
Oh, sorry. I'm basically just listening. But we definitely very much appreciate everything you guys are doing.
Well, we appreciate your ear tonight, and thank you for your words. Crystal R., would you like to say something today?
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
I'm mainly here to see what our mitigation plan is, but I support not wearing masks outside. That's it.
Thank you, Crystal. Julie, we have two more people that wanted to speak tonight, but weren't able to do it. One of those is Melissa.
Mark, sorry to interrupt. April has her hand up right there.
Oh, terrific. I can't see that. Please, April, I would love to hear from you.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello? Okay, sorry. I'm zooming on my phone and I'm not used to that. So anyway, I came in late and I'm probably going to leave early from this meeting. I just wanted to pop in, and I was really happy to just hear everyone speaking their mind, and it just reminded me of how wonderful our community is at Winterberry. And then I guess I just wanted to voice my main concern of what happened last year with the 100% remote learning and then going into the cohort model, was that my son, who's going into 4th grade this year, really suffered from a mental health standpoint. And I think we all did, especially when we went into the cohort model. I think any therapist will tell you that routine is essential to mental health, especially if you're in a stressful situation. So I support going back to school and masking indoors and not doing a cohort model. I hope that's not on the table anymore. I didn't realize that was still up for discussion. So that wouldn't work for our family either, sadly. And then also for the outside with the masks, I hadn't thought about it too much, but I get it that that would also be a point of transmission, especially with how closely kids play together. Like my son wrestles, with some of his classmates. And so I think that the masks outside would probably be a okay idea, especially in winter, because they want to be warm anyway. And then for eating outside, that makes sense too, because they would be confined in a classroom with all their masks off, doing a high-risk activity. But I wonder if we could just set up a big tent outside with some of those propane heater thingies. I know propane isn't very Winterberry, but I guess you'd probably have to get a special permit to burn on. Anyway, that's just an idea I thought of, would be fun, an outdoor eating tent. So anyway, that was all I wanted to say about what's going on with the back to school plan.
Thank you, April, for sharing. Julie, we had the two more for tonight. One of those was the audio by Bruni. Are you able to techie that through to everybody so that we could hear her words today, although she's not able to be here today?
Possibly. I will. maybe you will read the other, and I'll work on getting that set up.
Yeah, I have Melissa's letter up, and I can read it, also subject to the 3-minute limit. I don't know if the full text will fit within that period of time, but I can begin reading it and have that time while you see if putting audio through is possible. Is that okay, Mark?
That is so awesome. Thanks. I'm a very slow reader.
Okay. As a mom of a second grader and a COVID-19 epidemiologist, I appreciate the time to express concerns for COVID mitigation at Winterberry this fall. Evidence for practice shows a collective approach to COVID mitigation is more effective than an individual approach. I am thankful for the ASD School Board approving mandatory mask guidance that is supported by evidence-based science and follows CDC guidance. I am also grateful for Winterberry's commitment to providing COVID mitigation measures. Over the past year, I have been an infection preventionist working in a local hospital. As an infection preventionist, it is my duty to provide those in leadership with recommendations based on evidence-based science to prevent disease transmission for both patients and staff. I have worked on the front lines of this pandemic, providing hospital staff and leadership with new guidance as it becomes available in this ever-changing world. I have assisted in standing up the COVID ward to prepare for an influx of patients. I have helped establish proper protocols for emergency surgeries for ill COVID patients, such as COVID-positive mothers who need emergency C-sections. I have assisted medical staff in selecting the right masks and face shields to prevent COVID transmission. In December 2020, I saw the overflowing ICUs with COVID patients. Days before Christmas, I witnessed family members weeping outside of the ICU rooms for their loved ones who had just succumbed to COVID after being on a ventilator for weeks. And my family lost Jim in January. He was a loving husband, a father, and a grandfather. Our family will never be the same. These people never had an opportunity to be vaccinated because there was no vaccine available at that time. Recently, I have switched roles, and now I am a COVID-19 epidemiologist. I evaluate trends and provide those in leadership roles, such as the governor or local health departments, with data to make informed public health decisions. I still hear from my infection preventionist colleagues daily who inform me of the lack of beds in hospitals. However, in this recent surge, the pediatric hospitals are now also filling up quickly. I'm likely one of the few Winterberry parents with this experience. This is bolded. It is riskier now to be unvaccinated than it was in March. COVID in today's world looks very different than when we reopened Winterberry to in-person classes in March. In mid-March, Anchorage municipality average daily case rate over 14 days was roughly 16 per 100,000. And there was literally a flat epidemic line, whereas today it is more than double that at roughly 36 cases per 100,000 persons. The epidemic curve indicates that we are currently in a steep upward trend in new cases as the Delta variant spreads through our community. There is more transmission now than there was in March when we reopened our school. A recent study has shown that individuals with the Delta variant have a 1,000% higher viral load, and the variant is 200% more transmissible than the wild type strain. The wild type strain is the background strain with no major mutations. The Delta variant also replicates much faster, and the virus has been detected in individuals 4 days after exposure versus 6 days in persons with the wild type. The combination of increased viral load and a shorter incubation period is an explanation of Delta's increased transmissibility. The Delta variant has literally changed the game. It is currently not well understood if the Delta variant is more dangerous for young children or if kids are more susceptible to this strain compared to others who are unvaccinated. However, as case counts go up for all cases and for adult cases, pediatric numbers will also increase. Vaccinations are not available for children under 12 years old and will not be available for several more months. This is bolded. We need more than one method to prevent transmission. We need more than masks. We need to encourage vaccination, continue outdoor lunches, social and physical distancing. Our school should consider implementing weekly screening tests. The best way to protect kids who are too young to get vaccinated is for everyone else in the household who is eligible to get vaccinated. Additionally, everyone should practice diligent use of masks whenever indoors around non-family members during activities such as, but not limited to, grocery shopping, attending religious services, workspaces, offices, parties, or gatherings. When a community is in high levels of transmission, parents of unvaccinated children should consider returning to earlier pandemic social and physical distancing measures to reduce the risk of bringing COVID into their homes and into school. Physical distancing is reducing, limiting, or not participating in any additional activities outside of the home that would increase risk, such as dining indoors at restaurants, attending indoor parties without masks, indoor sport events, movie theaters, and attending large gatherings. I'm going to take a sip. What kind of time do I have left? I'll just continue.
The timer had gone off, but it was before you got to the recommendation, so I didn't know.
I think I have a page and a half left. Is it?
I think we're at 5 minutes.
Okay, I'm not sure that it is entirely fair to continue given the time limit we put on others, but rest assured that this full document is taken into account as we are looking to make further determinations.
Thank you, Peter, for reading Melissa's her letter there.
Yeah.
Okay, so I am going to play this Brunhild Benner's recording. Let's see here, and then Sarah, maybe just keep a. Let's see here.
Thank you, Winterberry Charter Council. This is Brunhild Benner. Thank you for welcoming me and taking the time to listen to what I have to say. I am here to ask Winterberry to follow the Anchorage School District COVID protocols and no more. I feel that the protocols they have in place address what needs to happen in order to do the best thing for our children, which is to have them in school full time, and then to allow the choice of masks or no masks outside of buildings. So that's what I'm asking. I think sometimes in order, before we can move forward, we have to look at the past. And I, looking back on last year, feel it was a mistake to have our children in school only 2 days a week. Europe kept their kids in school. Anchorage School District started their kids back full time. I believe it was in January, February. And after all that time at home and on the computers, we still only went back 2 days. I think that decision was based on uncertainty and fear. And I would like decisions to be made, not to be made in that fashion anymore. There are individuals in our society that are extremely fearful, all the way to hopefully there's fewer of these people that feel that this is a hoax. And I feel that leaning in one direction or the other is not in the best interest of our children. For example, the mask policy at recess. I was in Bend last year in February, and children were playing outside, playing unmasked. And yet Bend was making an exception because they had mask policies in place, indoor and outdoors and other places. They recognized on some level the importance, not only the importance for children, but also that the rate of transmission was so minuscule for children playing outside. When I asked Katrina about this, our nurse, she couldn't answer why masks were being required outside at Winterberry. I don't believe there was data to support that. And so I'm asking that Winterberry follow ASD and no more. I do feel that some trust was broken, and I'm willing to fight for what I feel my kids need. Thank you for your time.
Julie, thank you for sharing Bruni's words. We're about to the end, everybody. It seems like there is interest in still hearing the last words there from Melissa. Peter, would you be willing to read it?
Yes,
I mean,
sorry, I was approving folks to view the document.
Oh,
I
no,
forgot
that's
that. I
awesome
forgot
too.
that unless you send it in the email to everybody, then you have to approve anyone who actually wants to view the thing. I will finish reading the letter. Give me a second to pull it up.
Thank you.
Get back to where I was. Okay, so to protect our community, our schools should stress the importance of multiple approaches to prevent transmission, such as getting vaccinated, universal mask wearing, social and physical distancing in all activities outside of school. This could be provided on the school's website through emails, newsletters, and discussions between staff and parents. In addition to universal indoor masking, CDC recommends schools maintain at least 3 feet of physical distance between students within classrooms to reduce transmission risk. Is Winterberry able to maintain 3 feet of physical distance between children within the classroom when the school is at full capacity? When it is not possible to maintain a physical distance of at least 3 feet, such as when schools cannot fully reopen while maintaining these distances, it is especially important to layer multiple other prevention strategies, such as screening tests. I'm not aware of what ASD has available for schools, but the CDC provides screening test recommendations for K through 12 schools by levels of community transmission. For our school, parents and staff could volunteer to test and self-report. However, to be effective, the screening program should test at least once per week and rapidly, within 24 hours, report results. The CDC states that schools could consider multiple screening testing strategies, and I urge you to consider this as part of the school's COVID mitigation. As a parent and a public health official, I am concerned for mask breaks indoors, such as during lunch and snack time. When the masks come off, we increase our risk of transmission. Last spring's setup for outdoor eating was one of the reasons why I felt comfortable in sending my son back to in-person learning. I hope the school plans to continue outdoor dining, at least at a minimum, until children can be fully vaccinated later this fall. Highlighted, provide alternative learning options, allowing families a homeschool option, saving their spot in the grades until all students have the option of full vaccination. We are just a few months away from children under 12 having the ability to be vaccinated. Given each Winterberry family has a different set of circumstances and comfort level, the school should consider providing alternative learning options until a vaccine is available for children under 12. One option could be holding a spot in the class grade and allowing the parents to choose the hybrid or homeschool option until full vaccination is available. Another option could be to continue the cohorts for the fall semester until vaccinations are available for children. Additionally, the school needs to address mitigation plans for when a class has an exposure and how children who are in quarantine will be provided education while school is closed. Bolded, our charter school has the flexibility to serve our unique population. Please survey parents. Winterberry families have chosen a school with the freedom to customize operations to fit our 175 family community's needs. Winterberry's charter outlines a vision that is open to ideas and input from students, teachers, parents, and the district. As such, many families would appreciate a concerted effort to survey school-wide needs and concerns going into another year of the pandemic amid steeply rising transmission rates. We grew accustomed to providing pandemic-related input through school-wide surveys last year. If that was an effective way for Winterberry leaders to gain input, we'd like another chance to do so before the Charter Council makes operational plans again. As the COVID-19 virus has adapted to become more transmissible and riskier for those who are unvaccinated, Winterberry also can adapt beyond the district's requirements to ensure the safety of our students and families. With light and love, Melissa Pike.
Thank you for reading that, Peter. Thank you, Melissa, for writing your letter. Did I happen to miss anybody else today who'd like to speak? All right. Again, thank you all for everybody, and possibly then we transition into the business section of today's meeting.
I would say so, yeah.
Yeah, all right. Return to school procedures. Well, I guess that's the topic for today here. And Principal Pepe Phelps, do we, this is not open for discussion. This is a section where we're discussing the procedures. Is that right? Or are we looking for a bit of a discussion here?
Well, I think that in the original plan, WCC was going to consider what the district, and in the past, that's how we've done it, considered how the district mandates have come forward and then had a response per those mandates. So if you would like, I could bring up the basic mandates that the district sent out, and it kind of goes one by one, and we could look at those if you want to do it that way, or yeah.
This one, yeah. That would be helpful to make that a visual for the moment. And we kind of chat about that, and you were discussing this in regards to our open school procedures.
Can everyone see this? Can everyone see the thumbs up, down, the guidelines? Yeah, okay, good. So maybe I would just read for those maybe who can't see it on a phone or something. Just go one by one to the guidelines, the return to school operational guidelines that were handed down, handed from the superintendent, approved by the school board. And now it's for us to kind of review, for WCC to review. Would you like me to read over those?
If you'd be willing to, it'd be great.
Yeah. So number one, academic models. ASD will have full-length in-person school days and virtual learning models, allowing families to choose the best model for their needs. The full-length school day schedule is as follows, and our school day at Winterberry is 8:15 to 3:15. Cleaning and disinfecting. Regular cleaning and disinfecting will occur in the school. I'll just read what it says. On buses, in schools, and in administrative offices. Classrooms will be cleaned daily. Exceptional disinfection in schools will occur as needed. Physical distancing of 3 to 6 feet should be observed in all district classrooms and buildings to the extent possible, but should not exclude students from in-person learning to keep minimum distance requirements. Face coverings are required for all students, staff, and visitors while inside ASD schools and buildings. Some exceptions may apply for educational purposes and for cohorting people who are fully vaccinated. Face coverings are not required for outdoor activities. Hand washing, hand sanitizing. Hand sanitizer will be available in all schools and on buses. Frequent hand washing and/or sanitizing will occur throughout the school day. Transportation. Face coverings are required for students, bus drivers, and attendants on school buses. Some routes may have assigned seating. Meals and water breaks. Meals will be served to students and consumed in cafeterias and other school settings at school discretion. Classrooms. Classrooms will be cleaned daily. Desk barriers or other partitions may be used at school discretion. HVAC, school building ventilation systems will be activated 2 hours before school start and kept running 2 hours after the school day ends to ensure air exchanges. Student staff health and safety, nurses and trained staff will be on site to screen students and staff showing symptoms of illness. Proper isolation protocols will be followed in the event of suspected cases in schools or administrative buildings. Recess, mask wearing will be optional for students during outdoor recess. And the little asterisk for consistent with CDC guidelines. I'm trying to, let's see where that applies. All right, so at school discretion, so in the meals in the classrooms. And then volunteers and visitors, school volunteers and visitors are welcome. Volunteers and visitors will be required to follow district protocols or procedures and protocols and should not visit any ASD facility if symptomatic, COVID positive or in quarantine. Sports and extracurricular activities, indoor and outdoor sports and extracurricular activities such as dances, assemblies, school spirit gatherings, fine arts performances, and club activities may be available to students and spectators. For indoor sports, athletes will wear masks if on the sideline. Spectators will be expected to wear masks during indoor competitions and events. Mask wearing will be optional for all outdoor sports and activities consistent with CDC guidelines. General guidelines to staff and parents. Systematic students or staff keep ASD symptom-free. Parents and guardians should conduct a symptom screening of their students and keep their students home if exhibiting symptoms. Parents and guardians are strongly encouraged to have symptomatic students tested for COVID-19. The same standards apply for symptomatic staff. Reporting and communication, parents are strongly encouraged to notify schools if their student is confirmed COVID-19 positive or close contact. Schools will report confirmed cases, students and/or staff using the district's online COVID-19 report format. The district will communicate findings and recommendations to affected staff and student families. Communications will be specific to individuals or groups. Testing. ASD will provide testing to symptomatic staff and students either through school nurses or a contracted provider with parent or guardian consent. Municipal sites will continue to provide testing at locations throughout the municipality. Vaccination. ASD will provide COVID-19 vaccines to eligible students with parent or guardian consent, staff, and community members through a contracted provider. The district will also continue to perform vaccination clinics to include flu and other state-required vaccination in schools as needed. That is it. And this is available. Let's see here. I don't know exactly where this was sent out. It was sent to me, and
Did that come with Dr. Bishop's letter earlier last week?
Yeah, and was that sent to all families? I mean, did everybody see this? I'm gonna get back in here, stop share so I can see everybody's face. WCC, did you see this in things that were sent out to parents?
Yeah, I didn't see this cleaned up version, but I saw the more just listed out version of just pure text version of this. And for myself at this point in time, I can open up council discussion by saying, from where I sit at this point in time, I would think that adoption of the plan that ASD has, perhaps with the only thing in my mind that we could potentially add very easily at this time would be to say that outdoor masking was also required, like throughout the day, something like that. But generally, and then after that, a lot of the additional recommendations for measures, I don't have a good grasp on our capacity for some of them or the larger community's feeling on some of them. And so perhaps a mixture of survey and then speaking with staff, also looking at what COVID funds are available for different measures that have been suggested, those sorts of things could be done in the very near future. But knowing that we have to adopt and enact some plan at this point in time so people can be informed with what, it could vaguely be considered a reasonable amount of time to, prepare for going to school. My thought would be to adopt the ASD plan this evening. And the only thing that popped out to me as a potential easy add would be to say that perhaps the outdoor masking, instead of being optional, is just something that we stay with for this current period. So I don't know where other folks fall, but I figured I'd open it up with that thought.
Thank you, Peter. This is Jessie. And I want to just say, I really appreciate the strong turnout we have from our community tonight. And it's been really very helpful to hear from all the parents who have shared their comments and community comments. Peter, you're right. In the past, we had sort of a different lead up going into last year where we were looking at different scenarios and so forth. We're taking a different approach this year. I too was heartened to see sort of where that we started out with the district. I also understand that we are a week away from the start of school. My biggest curiosity at this point, having heard loud and clear from many community members tonight, I'm wondering if we might be able to hear any input from faculty. Principal Pepe Phelps, if you might be able to share, or if our faculty rep could share.
So our faculty is not yet on contract. So no one, they are very often off any kind of email or connection with the school until the first day of contact, which is this Thursday.
Understood. Thank you for that. The other, I guess, final thing I can say that I heard mentioned a couple of times but hasn't yet been noted by a WCC member is the variable of a cohort model. I think that's a big question, seeing that that was part of our plan last year. And I'm now hearing a variety of voices around that, some that are feeling like it's time to move away from the cohort model and full-heartedly endorsing sort of the approach that the ASD is taking with all students in the classroom. I'd like to hear from other WCC members on that point and feelings there.
I could go ahead and speak. I tried to make notes when everybody was speaking to just get a sense of the questions that were out there and creative solutions. And I had read Melissa's letter beforehand, and she had mentioned, you know, her big thing is that having the Swiss cheese model, having multiple factors. So if we did vote to adopt ASD, their procedures, then there are a number of things that we could still do within that framework. We could have increased outdoor time was a suggestion. I'm not, you know, I'm just throwing this out there. We could have flexibility with attendance. A lot of people, I counted 6 different people mentioned that. Open windows. I don't know what we can do about tests or screening, but all of those things can happen without, within that framework. I have a lot of reservations about parting with ASD on the masking outside. I heard from a few people, yes, mask, but then I heard from 6 people, no. And I don't know where our community is on this. I would guess that it's pretty split. Last year we were split, and I would guess this year would be the same. So if we adopted a masking policy that went in different than ASD, then what we would be essentially doing, I think, is providing parents with less choice at our school. And I think that choice is probably pretty important to have the parents. So that one, I'm not sure. I also recognize that kids play really closely outside, and I know that this is more transmissible, but I would certainly not vote to change that policy unless we had surveyed our whole community and there was a vast majority, not even just a little majority, because it's such a split issue and because parents still do have the option to have their child in masks outside. So that was the one big thing that stood out to me. I think, you know, distancing as much as we can, hygiene, maybe testing, eating outside, those are all things that sound really creative and great and hopeful to me. And I haven't talked a lot with other faculty members about this, so I'm just speaking personally.
Can I quickly ask a follow-up? Is that okay, Mark?
Yeah, please do.
Thank you. Thank you. Sarah, do you have thoughts about cohort versus non-cohort?
Melissa mentioned cohort, and I didn't have it, I don't think I had it written down anywhere, but I heard 6 different people say that they can't cohort, that they wouldn't be able to follow their school schedule. So, and I know these aren't super precise. I just was making check marks. I think maybe one other person mentioned.
Yeah, I was hearing all those comments as well. And I think that would be a very big difference that this body has to decide upon, is if we're going to move away from that model.
And the question that I do have about that is that in ASD's guideline, it says that schools will remain open full-time. So I don't know if that's even one of those areas where you can be more conservative, because they made it clear. And then they said, if 3 feet distancing can't be maintained, it's still not adequate to go to cohorting models. So I guess that would be a question for Principal Pepe Phelps.
Well, I guess the question on the table here is whether we're going to adopt, I mean, the fine details of that. I can ask more specific questions. There's a lot of issues around cohorting as far as children education and families being able to sustain that, because it means that half the week their children are home, and that means that teachers would do additional work to support those at-home students while the other ones were in school. So, I mean, that's also, we'd have to bring that back to the faculty as far as their willingness to participate in that again, because I know that was a very heavy lift for them last year, and they sustained it for 2 months.
Yes, and there was the other component of having to have a whole nother set of curriculum that was ready, and the work involved, I remember, for faculty to facilitate that while their students were at home. It's a lot of work.
But speaking to the point of ASD will have full length in-person school days and virtual learning models, allowing families to choose the best model for their needs. Well, so ASD has their virtual learning, which families are, charter school families also are, welcome to participate in, although they aren't very popular. And they're, I am in the middle of finding creative ways to serve families per their need, for a family to come to me and say this, to have just a request of what they would need versus to do something universally that wouldn't necessarily target the needs. My main concern, or my main objective, is to keep 100% of our families at Winterberry. We stayed together last year. I feel like we can stay together this year. And I really feel like we were flexible and we moved with the times, and it was well noticed. And I feel like we can do that same thing this year. I know we have the capacity to do that. So. Yes, sir.
I had a question that kind of went to some of the questions that I heard. Parents were a little uncertain about what would happen with a child this year if they had symptoms. And I know last year what happened is if a child had symptoms, they went home, they were required to get a COVID test, and Nurse Katrina handled that. Is that going to be the same, or do you know if that will be different this year?
I haven't heard that directly, but I assume that it's the same. And I think that they're required to get a COVID test or quarantine. It was that either or window. So we'll all get more specific directive on that. And so will Nurse Katrina. She handles that component. And again, she's not back until Thursday.
I have a question about the spacing between the desks. Do the classrooms have the capacity to have 3 feet between the desks for all the students?
I believe that they do. When we were trying to get 6 feet between desks last year, we could put a lot, not all 28 desks, but we could put almost that in the 6 foot realm. And so with the 3 foot, I haven't gone in and, well, the classrooms aren't set up yet, but I could mock up a classroom tomorrow and see, look at that. But I'm pretty certain that with 3 feet, we could do it. And more, 3 feet-ish. We would try to accommodate more space when at all possible.
And
Go
the
ahead,
other thing,
Nick. You raised your hand there for a second. I can hear from you, Nick.
Yeah, I guess I was just gonna kind of jump in a little bit and echo a little bit of what Miss Glasser was saying. This year, with the way the ASD has done their protocols and stuff like that, I do believe that to go off the path of what they have recommended and coming up with these, different ideas, I think that staying with the actual what they've come up with would be a good plan. I was a part of that cohort, or the how to get the kids back into school, that group that put that together. And the reason why we did the cohorting was what can we do to get the kids back into school with what we were given. And at that time, we weren't really given much in order to do that. I'm a big advocate for kids getting back into school, back into school.
So maybe we could give Nick an opportunity for him to come back to life.
Okay.
Yeah, okay, I thought that was me again. Oh.
No, it was Nick's. The one other thing that I, heard comment about was outdoor lunches for at least the beginning part of the school year. Is that going to be part of the plan or doable?
Well, it's definitely doable because we did it last year in the
Yeah.
middle of winter, and I thought that we could begin that process, and when the days are nice. And we tried to get those heaters last year, but everything's gone, and so we have been looking into getting kind of some warming sources for spaces. We have tents that we can put up, and we have all these handy skills now with building little shelters, and parents that have volunteered, and with our 100% outdoor third grade classroom last year. I mean, it was they were not at all inside. They were outside from the time we went back to the end of school in an outdoor classroom. And so we know that we can do that, and we can always do better than what we did before. So if we can do more to address the needs of students being warmer, more able to be outside to eat, and that would be a safer option with their masks off. We're looking into that option as well. Again, like, these guidelines they allow us to do things like that. We are, we can go in that direction, if we decide to do that, and it feels like a good match for our community. So.
Sue, we saw that you just jumped on there. Would you like to say anything?
Oh, I don't know what to say, so I just jumped on.
Okay,
So.
well, welcome.
I just played baseball coach and now I'm here.
All right.
I don't know if we're inching towards a place where we can vote, but I'd be interested to hear what, my thought would be then that we adopt the ASD plan, and then if there were additional measures that the group thought it would be reasonable to add on at this time without further input from the community, I'd be willing to hear that, whether it be outdoor lunches. I think that being clear that we're not doing cohort model based on the feedback, and also kind of looking at what ASD's plan is, those sorts of things. I'm into proposing and then voting on whatever we have to in order to make sure that we do get something done tonight, so that we can put out the details to folks and then potential surveys or whatever. But I want to make sure that we do have something concrete to put forward to the community, because I'm sure that a lot of folks are looking for clarity of whatever kind. As soon as
Peter,
possible.
it would help for me. I would like to hear Nick's closing thoughts.
Yeah,
You didn't have
okay.
a chance to finish before we start going into action. And then also any other seated WCC member who has not yet had a chance to share some reflections before we kind of roll it forward.
Okay, cool.
Sorry, guys, my internet's been acting up, but I have no idea even where I left off. Everybody was just frozen while I was mid-sentence, so I have no idea. But anyways, just to kind of go back to it, I would be super happy to see the kids back in school, not in a cohort style. I think the way the ASD has it lined out, I think they've done a pretty good job. I will be honest when I say, and I might be a little bit of the minority, I would like to see the kids be able to relieve themselves of the masks outside. I think a lot of it to me is I think the social aspect of growing up, and then the emotional and all the other different things that go into it, and being able to see body expressions and different things from their classmates and their peers, and that the way that they're able to react with those things, I think that is just as important as everything that they're getting right inside the classroom as well too. And I think it's important. I really do, to get the fresh air. And I know not everybody may share that same feeling, but I think that by having it optional outside, I think that's something to where the people that if they choose to do so, they can leave them on, and then the kids that choose not to, or it's everybody gets some sort of input and a way to feel like they're being accommodated. And so I think that the way that ASD has it lined out, I think is pretty good.
Thank you, Nick. Megan, would you like to speak for a moment? You raised your hand there.
Thank you. So I guess my biggest concern right now is like last year, we had a lot of input from the teachers, and I don't want to just assume that the teachers don't have an opinion. And I know Sarah said she didn't want to speak for them, or she couldn't speak for them, but I am a little bit curious if the faculty as a whole is okay with the ASD's guidelines. Because I personally am okay with them also knowing that my unvaccinated child, I'm going to be asking her to wear a mask at recess, even if, it's not the rules. But that said, I like that we have the choice. I think that that's going to work out fine for us. And families can still encourage their kids to wear their masks outside if they need to. And I think it's going to get cold soon anyway, and our kids are wearing balaclavas, half of them. So, it might just be a non-issue at some point. But I like the ASD model. I am just curious, if the teachers are okay with it.
I know
Thank
the
you,
only
Megan.
thing I've heard is that I think teachers are relieved to see the masks inside since kids don't have the option to be vaccinated. I know I am relieved about that. Even though I really did not want to wear masks this year, I think that's where we are. That's, but I would also prefer for families personally to have the option for no masks outside. It's a long day. So some kids are more tolerant than others. I think, personally, if I could ask my parents, hey, when we're outside and we're doing a class activity that involves everybody really close, I might ask them to mask up. I don't think that violates anything. So I don't know. I don't think that I probably differ that far, but it's hard to know. We're all going to come back Thursday, and you never know. You never know.
Mark, I wonder if there might be a way for us to think procedurally how best we should move then without knowing that key element of faculty. And perhaps we could have a path tonight where we can make some decisions as a body, but preface it on pending feedback or input. I know time is of the essence, but given sort of how our school is run and kind of where things are at, I don't know what your thoughts are on how to get organized.
I think we're all kind of saying it in the same way. We need to have some answers tonight so that we can start to visualize the upcoming year, make plans and such. So I hope we can come to a vote on that before the end of this. I obviously will state the obvious, just so we all kind of hear it. We can't go anything less than what the ASD has already provided us. But I would echo what everybody else is also saying, which to me sounds like we have lots of creative solutions that are known and also others that are yet to be found. So I guess I'm not sure as the board chair if I'm able to make a statement, Julie or Jesse, as far as I can't make a step in the direction, but
right. You don't make a motion, but you can certainly. I'd love to hear. I'd love to hear your thoughts as in terms of what you would propose.
I'm hoping we take the first step, which is approve the. Here, I took my notes on that. Adopt the recommendation by the superintendent, and then continue the conversation together as a community to what other steps and creative solutions we can have that allow for win-win situations for all families.
And just another thought, if on Thursday we come back with our initial, vote tonight or, agreement or whatever, and teachers have a lot of feelings about this, would you be willing to call another special meeting to, possibly get a committee going or do something that would attend to strong feelings in another direction?
Yeah, I think that's definitely appropriate, to keep the conversation going, to build our community and keep us and keep this momentum going. This was a great first step.
I would suggest that maybe what we do to be ready would be to have a committee appointed before the close of this meeting to attend to that business. And we can perhaps empower that group to carry the work forward. We have the ability to do that and to be organized just in case.
That seems like a good solution. My fear originally was that we were going to go from this meeting to creating a committee and then not be able to provide answers to the general community. But I think if we make at least a first initial step on a decision today and then create a committee, we can show that we are taking action, it's taking steps, but also creating that space for us to hear more voices as well as strategies for starting up the school year safely.
And Mark, just to clarify, maybe I am misunderstanding. The committee, if we voted to adopt ASD tonight and then formed a committee, that committee would be responsible for looking into things like outdoor arrangements for eating. Is that what kind of things you have in mind?
Yeah, I guess so. And maybe, maybe there isn't a one size fits all for the younger and older kids or a one size fits all for every family. But that committee could start those conversations and come to us with a letter that helps us continue to refine our thoughts on this matter.
I think that one of the biggest things as a parent I needed to hear tonight was that we were going to go forward with school in person, like for a regular whole day. Like, I think that's probably the biggest thing. Whereas the masking, the outdoor lunches, like I feel like those details can be figured out once parents know they don't have to come up with an emergency education plan for their children for the year. And I hear Julie saying that they're going to be flexible and listen to parents who have different needs that maybe the whole system can't accommodate, but we were able to do that last year. And I know that we're capable of doing that in the upcoming year to whatever, capacity we can. And I almost feel like we don't even need to technically adopt the ASD protocols because that's what we follow. I guess it'd be only if we are going to take them more caution. Is that what we would have to vote on?
I hear you, Megan, but I actually think because we had a different model last year, that it would be smart for us if we're moving away from the cohort and by adopting the ASD, full classroom all day, all week schedule. I think that would be a better process to have a motion that would indicate that. That's my opinion.
Clear communications. I guess that's, if we can send an email that's 2 or 3 sentences long and gets everybody on board, would probably, but you're absolutely right, Megan, is get that too.
Again, just
in terms of this, in terms of this committee that we're talking about, I think I'd like to know a little bit more about what exactly this subcommittee would be doing and who would be on it, and I guess why it's necessary. I'm not convinced. Obviously the school year is going to start soon. We're going to have another WC meeting a month from now. I'm not entirely sure why we need the formation of another.
I don't know if it would be needed either, but it could be there in place in case come Thursday, there's some concerns and a need to have more communication around the creative solutions. That was what I was hearing, and that's what I voiced.
What we could
I'm
do.
kind of thinking that's Julie's role as the administrator of the school, that if she's hearing feedback from her teachers, that she will hear that and then, convey it to us. I'm just not sure we need another committee formed.
I do also want to say to that point that it's not in a month. Our next regularly scheduled meeting for this body is next week. It's next Thursday. Pretty soon after whatever recommendations come from staff, if there is a committee that then has a meeting about that and makes a couple recommendations if that's necessary, or if there's just an email string about those things, however we want to address that, we have an upcoming opportunity to formalize or finalize if there are things that Julie needs us to do that in order to empower or make fully clear. We have an opportunity coming up really soon to do that, and I expect more feedback next Thursday as well.
Yeah, that all good points, Peter, and I hear you, Paula. And so my question for you, Principal Pepe Phelps, is, in the past with these types of bigger decisions, we've understood that it's helpful to have the board's direction. Is this one of those times that you would like to have that as an option, or do you feel like this is something that you don't need additional support on?
Well, I don't quite know yet because the teachers haven't come back. So that's really the most outstanding. I think that the ASD document grants us enough flexibility to meet the needs of our community. I think that is, I think that when time goes on and we see other things happening, then it will come to our attention. It will come to the district's attention, and our community will let me know if they're feeling uncomfortable, if things go more, if things get worse in the COVID world, or if there needs to be any other things. Parents are letting me know, and I feel like the more we can support direct communication from parents to me, just being able to voice their opinion and giving them a voice for that, which my, personal cell phone numbers on our website. So anybody can call me, text me, email me, all those things. And I welcome it. I really do. And I have good boundaries around answering things when it's my family's time or whatever. So I don't have any issues with that. And nobody's taken advantage in 2 years. So I feel pretty fine with that. The wild card is the teachers and how they are going to feel, but they are also district employees. And so they, they understand about following district protocol about things. And in our last couple of meetings at the end of the year, the kind of weary of creating, recreating, having the teachers be the creators of policy was starting to wear on everybody, to the point where if they feel safe enough to be here, then they would prefer to, what I gathered from our conversations, and Sarah, you can correct me if you think it's different, but what I gathered from those last couple of months of conversation is, if the district is getting input from the CDC and the different people and risk management and everything else, then as long as teachers are feeling safe enough about being in the classroom, then they would rather follow district protocol than to try to make a new plan and be able to back it up. Because whenever you make a new plan, we need to have data that's significant enough to say that our data is going, in this direction versus what the school district's data is bringing them into the direction of. And when we didn't know very much about things, and we still don't know that much about everything, but we know more, we when we know better, we do better, hopefully. And we know what we can do. We were very, very careful in the spring, and that worked for some families, and most people just hung in there. And most families, it did not work very well. I would say the vast majority of just people not having their children in school. So I would say we'll just inch our way along. Each new bit of information we get, we'll have our teachers come back. We will be discussing it in the first day, the first few hours of the day. We'll start talking about their comfort levels, what it looks like. They will voice their opinion to me. I will reach out immediately to WCC if I feel that I need any support or new kinds of policies that you can help me with.
Great.
I was thinking, just going forward, if we needed to wordsmith something that we could say we've adopted the official ASD procedures, and then Principal Pepe Phelps will be working with the faculty to design some things that were brought up at the meeting, like increased outside time, maybe, and possibly eating outside. And then she'll be working with families on flexibility with individual circumstances, so that people know that we are moving forward with that. And then the WCC will meet next week. And so if she needs that heavy lifting that Jesse, you were mentioning, that would be a good time if something comes up in that week.
I think that sounds very prudent. Mm-hmm. So Mark, would you like to entertain a motion?
I would, thank you.
I'd make a motion.
I wasn't able to write that down though, Sarah, though.
No, that's
that was good enough.
Hey guys, sorry. Are we seeing Becca's comment about lunches being addressed tonight?
Yes, I did. I saw that. And I think that's right encompassed with what we just heard Sarah Glasser sort of iterate in a different way. And if you haven't seen the chat is just looking at kind of the gray areas, what the knowns and unknowns are based on ASD's guidance, and making sure we have clear communication for parents on the basic things like how to arrive to school and where are they going to eat lunch, and some of those nitty-gritty things that obviously families are going to want to know to be able to tell their kids before the first day of school. Yeah. I'd like to make a motion for the WCC to adopt the ASD back to school protocol, understanding that in the coming days, Principal Pepe Phelps will be working with the faculty and WCC on next steps accordingly.
Second that motion.
Terrific. Thank you, Jesse. Should we put a WCC vote to it? I think with this one, we probably need to be kind of clear. So if we can put a show of hands up there for a little bit, long enough for us to get a WCC count on it. So I see yes for Jesse, Sarah, Nick, Megan, Sue, Peter, and did I miss anybody? Because and Paula. Awesome, team. I think I got us all on that one. And I think I'm a non-voting member right now. So Principal Pepe Phelps, were you able to, are you able to make that announcement to the rest of our community in an email?
Yes, I am able to do that.
Terrific. Well, I feel good that we were able to a good comment, good conversation today, and make some real traction. It is a big deal that I think we're going to be able to tell our kids a general idea of what's going on, but still also give us a little bit of room for us to spin our wheels on how we can start the beginning of the school year, and maybe even the first month doesn't look exactly the same as the second month and so forth, but it's a good first start. Would anybody like to adjourn this meeting?
I was just gonna, yeah, thank you very much, Mark, for chairing the meeting, and thanks for all the parents that turned out tonight, and the faculty, staff, and the other WCC members. So thank you very much.
I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I would like to say one more thank you to our community today, and maybe also use this time to shamelessly advocate that we do have a few open spots on the WCC board. So if you would like to continue your voice in a meaningful, respectful, and responsible way, come have a good time with us once a month. I also I'm happy to adjourn. Thank you for the motion. Can I hear a second?
This is Sue. I second.
Awesome. Thank you, Sue.
Good night, everybody.
Twinkle.
Good night, everyone. Thank you so much.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. Good night.